Hello and welcome to Make Fit Make Sense. I'm your host, Ryan Wade. And today I just wanted to talk to you about what it is that makes my style, inner strength style, unique and different, and what to look for if you're somebody who is right around 40 or older, 40s, 50s, 60s, have joint pain, have old injuries, have some sort of physical limitation, and don't know where to turn. I want to help guide you today along a route to being able to get stronger, find confidence in your body, do the activities that you love. And I know that it's really hard to find someone or somewhere that can help you specifically with your limitations or your movement restrictions. When we grow up, we tend to compound lots of small little injuries. And they could be big injuries as well, so things that you may feel are really hard to come over. I mean, I see people with nerve damage, with total knee reconstructions, total knee replacements, hip replacements. I've worked with people on organ donor lists who have 27% lung function and need to lose 20 to 25 pounds in order to stay on the list and then also get the transplant. Working with people with spinal fusions and neck fusions and toe fusions and impingements everywhere, shoulders, necks that don't rotate, you name it, right? As we get older, getting out of bed can get hard sometimes. The great equalizer in being able for you to overcome your movement restrictions and your limitations is strength. It's finding a way to be able to build strength in a safe and appropriate way to build up to a level that you can then get back to doing the activities that you love and no longer feel like your restrictions are restrictive. Hello and welcome. Hello and welcome to Make Fit Make Sense. I'm your host, Ryan Wade. And today I just wanted to talk to you about what it is that makes my style, inner strength style, unique and different, and what to look for if you're somebody who is right around 40 or older, 40s, 50s, 60s, have joint pain, have old injuries, have some sort of physical limitation, and don't know where to turn. I want to help guide you today along a route to being able to get stronger, find confidence in your body, do the activities that you love. And I know that it's really hard to find someone or somewhere that can help you specifically with your limitations or your movement restrictions. When we grow up, we tend to compound lots of small little injuries. And they could be big injuries as well, so things that you may feel are really hard to come over. I mean, I see people with nerve damage, with total knee reconstructions, total knee replacements, hip replacements. I've worked with people on organ donor lists who have 27% lung function and need to lose 20 to 25 pounds in order to stay on the list and then also get the transplant. Working with people with spinal fusions and neck fusions and toe fusions and impingements everywhere, shoulders, necks that don't rotate, you name it. Right. As we get older, getting out of bed can get hard sometimes. But the great equalizer in being able for you to overcome your movement restrictions and your limitations is strength. It's finding a way to be able to build strength in a safe and appropriate way to build up to a level that you can then get back to doing the activities that you love and no longer feel like your restrictions are restrictive, right? They, these things, they may never completely go away, but for you to have a great quality of life, for you to be able to find joy in movement and activity, that's what helps us stay energized and confident and feel young. And I think everybody wants that. I know I do. I know that my clients do. And I know that you probably do too. So if you are somebody who has something like this, you've definitely come to the right place. And today, I want to just discuss, what makes the difference in a personal trainer versus a rehab informed trainer or a corrective exercise specialist. And what are the things to look for when you're making that decision for yourself? Because what we do at Inner Strength is it's unique. There's, as far as I know, no franchises that have put together a group atmosphere for people in your shoes, for people with movement restrictions, limitations, injuries, dysfunctions. And it's hard to find a trainer who knows exactly what they're talking about to be able to do these kinds of things. And so just real quick, how I came up was in the rehab world. Had really bad knees as a wrestler whenever I was younger and started going through physical therapy and just was intrigued by how that world integrated into sports and into fitness as I grew older and just started taking care of my body just because I wanted to take care of it and not necessarily for an outcome of sports performance. But so when I started coming up as a personal trainer, I worked for a company that was run by a physical therapist, and they had massage, they had physical therapy, and we had personal training and sports performance. And that was kind of the beginning of, that was the second phase, right? Because I did go through all the physical therapy whenever I was younger, from age 15, my first knee surgery, growing up, going through college, always rehabbing my knee, and then getting into personal training because it's something that I grew up doing. I loved, I was inspired by the coaches that I had. I wanted to be that coach for those people who just wanted to be told what to do. Because I remember growing up and going through all these sorts of injuries, and I was just so determined. I was just like, if somebody just told me step by step what I need to do to be able to get healthier, to be able to make my body feel good again, I would do anything. Right. I would take those steps very seriously and very detailed, and I would do what I need to do to be able to feel like I can function normally again. And when you're in that place, it feels very disempowering. It's like, I want to do all these things. I feel like I should be able to do all these things, but can't. And I'm being held back. And not only am I being held back by my injury, but now because I'm being held back by my injury, I can't be as active as I was. And now I'm gaining weight and other parts of my body are starting to hurt. And it's just, it's a downward spiral from there. It really starts to mess with your mental state. And so whenever I got into personal training and going into that first job that I was just talking about, it was really my introduction into what is rehab informed training. So I want to break it down for you. When people go to physical therapy because they have an injury or dysfunction or pain, physical therapy takes you from, let's say, below zero. Like if we want to put this on a numerical scale, takes you from the negatives to zero. And at zero is basically everyday function. You can do everyday common activities with a level of certainty that you can do it without injuring yourself. And that's the point of physical therapy, is to therapeutically guide you back to baseline function. Once you pass that threshold of baseline function, you have full range of motion, you have minimal to no pain, you are able to do baseline movements with full or mostly full ranges of motion. You are stable. Your core has been built up. Now you can then integrate. And that's where you get the go ahead from your doctor or your therapist to start strength training or exercising again. So again, going back to that numerical scale, maybe we're at a negative to zero for physical therapy. And then, 0 to, let's say, 50, right, is fitness. And so what is fitness? It's past baseline, right? Fitness is being more physically active, more physically capable than baseline, right? You're building more strength. You're able to do more things better. You'll be able to excel and thrive in areas of fitness, lifting heavier weights or more repetitions, or doing activities for longer, requiring less rest. All of these things are what I would categorize as general fitness. But there is this phase, and let's call it 0 to 10, right? Let's call it 0 to 10. And this is where we have gotten past the point of physical therapy. So we're at baseline, but up to 10, there's an area where you're lacking the confidence to really take that next step and start to excel and push the boundaries of what you think you're capable of. Going back to that mindset, you felt restricted for so long, and it does really mess with your mental state and your confidence in yourself. And maybe, that restriction or that injury doesn't feel as good as you want it to, but hey, the therapist says you're ready and you can start working out again, but maybe you don't know what to do to be able to take that next step. Sure, you can go to the gym and hop on a machine, Who knows if you're doing it right? Maybe there's somebody who shows you how to do it right. Well, then how many times do I do it? How much weight do you use? How often should I be coming? How long should I be resting? What exercises pair together so I make sure that I'm not wasting my time doing a program in an inefficient way? These are all things that corrective exercise or rehab informed training is what I specialize in, is what people who do what I do specialize in. And this is where we really focus on scaling back what you may think of as workouts or fitness routines, right? We scale back and we regress certain movements to the point of your personal success to be able to then progress you forward in those ways. And when you haven't been able to do things for a long time, you may think like, I should be here. I should be able to do this. I should be feeling this way. And we've talked about looking down the mountain and reflecting on how far you've come and not where you're going. We're not going to touch on the mindset stuff today, but when you're at that point, you need to be able to say, okay, I am where I am. I need to accept where I am today and be able to just do the things that I'm capable of and slowly progress. So what does progression mean? And what does success mean in this phase where you're not quite ready to go full blown workout, but your baseline strong enough to be able to start exercising again? It looks like exercises with reduced range of motion, lower weights, slower tempo of your movement. So instead of squatting as fast as you can, we're slowing that down into like 6-second negatives and holding positions and really building the stability in your joints and building the capacity of the soft tissue again. You're retraining your body to take the next step and to feel confident. So it's not only your mind, but it's like that mind muscle connection where the muscles need to feel confident to be able to trigger your brain and say that I can do this. And so we're regressing these things in a certain way. And then here's how this works. To be able to perform any movement capably and have success with it, your spine needs to be able to be stable, your spine and your hips and your core, not your abs, but all the muscles that attach to your hips and your spine, they need to be able to hold your spine and your pelvis stable. Okay. Otherwise, we compensate, we lean side to side, we put more pressure on one side than the other side, et cetera, et cetera. And compensation patterns, I think, are pretty commonly known. It's not good. You're going to wear out the other side. The joint, you have one knee done and you're compensating for that knee, and now you're putting too much pressure on the other knee, and then you need the other knee done, right? It's a matter of building the stability of being able to hold your spine and your hips stable while you move through full ranges of motion. And so this is what we call stability. Stability is also not just building up the core to be able to hold your spine still, but it's also being able to balance, right? Stability, balance kind of goes together. Okay. So it's being able to balance while you're moving in locomotion, right? As you are able to move either on all fours or on your feet or in a way that is specific to the activities that you like, shuffling or backpedaling or you name it. Okay. And so building up that stability starts to trigger your mind and your brain and your nervous system to say, okay, I can do this now. I'm not going to fall. I'm not going to compensate. I'm not going to hurt myself if I start to do these things. And so we start to build a capacity for building stability. Your core gets stronger. You're able to hold your spine and your hips stable through ranges of motion. Okay. Then once you achieve stability, you can then build mobility. And when I say mobility, I don't mean flexibility. I mean mobility. And mobility is by definition moving a joint through a full range of motion while stable. All right. And so, I can move my shoulder in a full range of motion. If you're watching on the YouTube feed, you can see me doing it. I can move my shoulder in a full range of motion without having to bend to my side, right? People who have a shoulder surgery may not be able to do that, or rotator cuff repair or something like that. We want to be able to do those full ranges of motion slowly, efficiently, without compensation, right? And so paying attention to the essential movement patterns, and our essential movement patterns, let's call them 7 of them. We're going to say hip hinging, deep knee bends. We're going to say pushing and pulling. We're going to say stepping, single leg balance, rotation. Let's see if I missed anything. locomotion, quadruped movement. There's other categories, but let's just say those seven are the essentials for right now. Moving through full ranges of motion then unlocks behavior because you're no longer afraid. If I go into this range of motion, I'm going to pull my back. If I step up too high, I'm going to hurt my knee. Paying attention, slowing those movement patterns down, making sure that you have neurological or nervous system control over movements and retuning your body to movement is critical to being able to then progress forward and succeed and thrive in building up into your fitness routine. So once we achieve stability and then mobility and when I say all these, they all happen at the same time, right? But the focus of what you need to do if you're coming from a point of physical therapy to 0 to 10, building your confidence back up, we need to put the focus on in this order. So stability, mobility, then we can start to really push the strength envelope. And strength, not necessarily doing more, but being able to hold more, being able to withstand more, being able to lift more. And it doesn't have to be a lot of times, right? It can just be a few times, 2 to 4, maybe 5 times we can start to build the strength. And I can get into muscle fiber and stuff like that, but let's not go there. All right. So building up your strength, then now's where the energy starts to come up, because when we build strength, we build muscle, our metabolic rate starts to increase. All right. And so when our metabolic rate increases, we kind of kill two birds with one stone. I think everybody who's been through physical therapy got to that point where they were inactive, put on a few pounds, and then wants to then take it off. Well, when your metabolic rate increases, the rate at which you burn calories is what's increasing. You build more heat in your body and you start to burn more of that fat per unit of time. Now, I think a lot of people that you'll see on social media and influencers and stuff like that will really overemphasize how much you're increasing your metabolic rate by whenever you're building muscle. It's not miracles. Right. But it is rising. So you're raising the rate at which you burn calories. And you're also, when you do that, you're building more energy. Your body's feeling more confident because you can withstand more, lift more, like we're talking about. So once we start to build that baseline level of strength, being able to achieve the strength indicators for long-term longevity is not really a thing. Longevity. Then we start to really be able to say, hey, I'm really starting to feel progress. Okay. And so once we start to feel progress, we can then start to build endurance and stamina because we're safe. We feel confident that we can move through full ranges of motion and we know that we've started to progress. Now we can start to take that progression further and start to build that stamina. And when we do that, we're also decreasing the amount of time that we need to rest. That builds more confidence and more energy. Why? Well, how much does it weigh on you when you can't do things for an extended period of time? If you're watching this and you have kids, they are playing and you need to stop and take a break after 5 to 10 minutes. That really weighs on you. It drops your energy, your confidence, your motivation. And so building endurance and being able to do things for longer periods of time decreases the amount of rest that we do and starts to build up that confidence even more. I'm not an endurance athlete by any means. I've never run a marathon. I've probably never even run a 5K that I can remember. But what I do know is that when we start to work on endurance or capacity work, I feel like I can be more productive, right? I can get more things done in less time. And that is the next step, right? So once we achieve endurance, then we can start to really build power if that's the next step that you want to take. But at this point, before we even start to build power, which is just explosive movement for context's sake, we're in a fitness zone here, right? And maybe you still have some limited ranges of motion, but it's nowhere near what it was. These things, they might take a while to move forward. But again, all these levels that we've taken to this point have built confidence, right? And when we take these steps, not every day is going to be a perfect progression of the next. Your exercises that you do, you may not be able to be doing more the next day, but a corrective exercise coach or specialist or a rehab informed personal trainer will be able to regress to progress. All right. So an example might be, hey, I was doing squats 2 days ago and it felt great, but today that old knee is really acting up. What do I need to do? Right. A rehab informed personal trainer or a corrective exercise specialist will be able to analyze your movement and be able to see, hey, your ankle is looking more stiff today. Let's start working on that before we start working on the squat, because it's a product. Your quality of your squat is going to be a byproduct of how mobile your ankles are. It's called the joint by joint theory. Again, I'm not going to bore you with that, but essentially what it means is that as you go from your feet to your head, each major joint requires greater levels of either stability or mobility. And so, again, corrective exercise coach, rehab informed personal trainer, they're going to be able to analyze your movement and say, here, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to loosen up the muscles and the soft tissues around your ankle. We're going to do some ankle mobility. We're going to then activate the muscles around your ankle and your core, probably some too. We can work on mobilizing the hips a little bit as well to get you a little bit more loose, because usually if your ankles are stiff, it works its way up and your knees might feel achy, your back might feel stiff, things like that. So we're going to work on those areas. Then we're going to take the areas that we have activated and start to integrate it back into our workout. This is called a reset. All right, a functional reset. And when you're over 40, functional resets are all part of the game because body maintenance is so important. Okay. Body maintenance being working on your soft tissues, being able to target areas to be able to activate and to be able to function properly. We have, if you're anything like me, I've got multiple areas of restriction, right? And the older we get, we only pile more on. So being able to focus on these areas of restriction and reset them intra workout during the workout is critical, because if you try to go with the no pain, no gain theory, you're just going to be in more pain. And so we can't push through pain because we're going to then hurt ourselves more, right? If we load a restriction, it becomes an injury. And a rehab informed coach, a corrective exercise specialist is going to say, hey, you're trying to load a restriction. Let's loosen that restrictive pattern. Let's reset the sequence of your muscles firing. And then let's try to reintegrate you back into the movement. So whenever I work with my clients, I say, hey, we are all running our own race here. There's no competition between anybody. You need what you need on a given day, and it could be less than you did the day before. It could be more. You comparing yourself to the person next to you isn't going to do you any good, because that person doesn't have the same injury or physical past as you do. And so building a program around your personal circumstances is critical after turning 40. Again, just because of the joints wearing out. So once we take all of these ideas and we accept the fact that, hey, sometimes progress doesn't look linear. It looks like a crazy pattern, right? Spinning all around, up and down, sideways, but we keep progressing. Doing a little of something is always better than doing a whole lot of nothing. And taking that and accepting it and knowing that sometimes we need to slow it down to speed it back up is key. And that's maintenance, right? And not only we focus on maintenance in other areas of our lives. We focus on maintenance of our weight through diet. We focus on maintenance of our anxiety with therapy or with meditation or with rest, right? And so, or journaling or anything like that. And we focus on maintenance of our car by giving it the right fluids that it needs and giving it a tune-up and rotating the tires. Your body, after you turn 40, will always need maintenance, physical maintenance of the soft tissues, of the muscles, of the motor patterns, of the firing sequences. And respecting the resets is what really separates a rehab-informed coach or a corrective exercise specialist from another personal trainer. Now, can general personal trainers be rehab-informed without, some sort of certification? Sure, they can. Some of them, right? But the threshold of personal training professionals is not very high in the United States. And so if you're selecting someone, I would just urge you to really vet them on what their knowledge base of rehabilitation, of corrective exercise is, before diving into something that may not be right for you. Because a lot of times younger or less experienced personal trainers will just want to progress in a linear pattern, and that's not necessarily the right way for people with injuries. But let's say you're somebody who has then gotten past that point. Let's say we're at 50 and we're going to 50 to 100, right? This is what I consider performance. So it's a continuum: physical therapy, fitness, performance training, right? And that's where we start to build explosive movements and decreasing the amount of recovery time necessary. We can then continue to build sport-specific skills and things like that. And so, I do some of that as well with athletes of, school-aged athletes. And that's That's what I always go back to, because whenever I see these athletes, they might even hurt themselves and they need to then go back and regress themselves into this kind of corrective exercise fitness routine. But it's the best place for people over 40 who have achy joints to be, because having somebody in the know who cares about your personal situation, who respects the limitations that you have and will take the time and the detail work necessary to get you into a position where you can have success every workout. May not be more than you did last time, but it's success in that day, given that you started, were capable of less, and then got over it, right? That's what really allows you to be consistent. And that's the only magic sauce or secret sauce or magic key in fitness is consistency. And we've talked about that on past episodes of this podcast. So if consistency is the secret sauce and you have limitations, the key is for you to have somebody, a professional who knows how to program for those sorts of restrictions and injuries, reset so that you can get back on the track to building back. And when you can do that, you can accept that this workout today is enough. I don't need to push myself past the point of exhaustion, because the goal is never to have the best workout I've ever had in my life. That's unsustainable. If you have the best workout you ever had in your life, was your last workout any good? Who knows? So we just want to have a good enough workout to show up for the next time. And if you want to stay strong, you want to stay confident, you want to stay stable, you want to stay injury-free, or at least reduce pain, this rehab-informed approach, these corrective exercises that help your specific body stay on track, are what will keep you consistent in the long run. And that's really what gets results. So I hope this just kind of enlightens you a little bit on what the process looks like behind the curtain of what someone like me does, where you take the time to analyze movement, to look for inefficiencies, to build up the areas of restriction so that you can get back to doing certain activities you may enjoy: hiking, biking, playing with your kids, getting up and down off the ground, kayaking, skiing, golfing, you name it. All of these things are the things that keep us young, that give us more energy, that we're passionate about, right? And that's what gives us purpose and drive and lets us enjoy this life a lot more. So when you're searching for the right person for your fitness goals, think about the questions that need to be asked. What do I need more of? What do I need less of? What do my restrictions or my injuries limit me from doing right now? And how do I build these back up? Your trainer should be able to answer those questions. Your trainer should be able to give you an idea of, here's your long-term goal. You're here. We want to get here. And here's what 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks, you name it. This is what you should feel like, look like, and be like during this time. And if we get off track, here's where we need to go back to and move from. And that's really the key, because it's all about consistency. So again, I hope that this kind of opens your eyes a little bit to what the process looks like behind not only inner strength, but just personal training as a whole, and helps you select the best opportunity for yourself with your fitness goals. So until next time, I'm Ryan Wade. This is Make Fit Make Sense. Talk to you later.